What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of tickers out there. I'm going to break down what's going on with the market right now in terms of the news and the data that's going to be dropping in just a couple of minutes, and also what's going on with some very, very important news involving earnings. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just 2 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so SPY is up about 0.18% today in the pre-market. I told you guys yesterday we're likely going to see the market try to pop to the upside, try to push up as we get closer to open, if not even during open. But I want to remind everyone that we have some very important news coming out, and we have some data dropping, which is the Chicago PMI report 15 minutes after the market opens. This could cause a big change in the direction the market's going in. So just be ready for this. It may not even do that, so just be very prepared for some volatility 15 minutes after the market opens, wherever you are around the world, at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time, right? That's when the stat is going to be dropping. We also have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index coming out at about 7:30 a.m. for me, or about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time in New York time. That could cause some volatility, but I think the bigger thing is going to be the Chicago PMI first. And besides that, the market is just going to be very reactive to technical analysis and other supports and supply and demand zones. Now, for now, when it comes to what the news is saying about the markets, they're talking about how the market once again is approaching the last day of July, and there's a good chance the market's going to try to hold up because they want a good month once again. There is a good chance of that potentially happening, and I think that's very likely as well. There's also talk coming out right over here about how Aapl and Amzn are going to be some big names for earnings. We're going to be finding out how these end up affecting the market by Thursday. Don't forget that for Wednesday we have just a couple of other earnings. I will talk about those in just a few minutes. We're starting to see some trucking giants shut down, which is once again not the best of news to hear. We actually heard about Yellow, which is going to be filing for bankruptcy, unfortunately, and that news came out right over here with over $1 billion in debt that has to be restructured. Right over here, there's a fee fight going on between some of these major credit card industries. Once again, very important stuff, and that's basically it that's significant so far in the news. Now, when it comes to earnings, don't forget that after the market closes, we have just a couple of others coming out, some energy companies as well. And for tomorrow, we have the big old AMD coming out. And at the time I'm recording this, we're still waiting for SoFi and a couple of others to come out. I'm recording this kind of early. And for now, when it comes to futures, they're still leading the market up. The market's still holding up quite nicely, and things are looking quite positive. We actually saw ES hold up kind of decently. I did see it come down to turn red, but it came right back up. So it was pretty flat, not like too crazy yesterday, but it held up for the most part. Now for China, there's some news coming out about how they're showing more and more growth right now and more potential stimulus, and that's good news for them because this is really positive. This is positively affecting some Chinese tickers. If you're interested, I'm going to talk about those in a few as well. Tesla is going to be cutting prices for some Model 3 and Model Ys in Hong Kong. So this is some new news that came out, and we're still waiting for more news involving Tesla later on during the day. So watch for those. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. What's going on with it? So like I told you guys in the morning, I think what I said is very likely to play out. We're going to likely see SPY retest 458 or so. And if we break above that, we could try to get close to this high, 459.5, somewhere like around there. I'm not sure if we're going to break above 460 or not. If we break 460, there could be some FOMO that comes in and tries to push the market even higher. If not, we could get a rejection off of it and make our way right back down to like around this 455 area. So we're going to be watching our 20 EMA as our major support, at least for the time being. So make sure you're prepared for that. Make sure you watch that very carefully. That's going to be pivotal for the markets. Now, I also want to add that on SPY, for now, the trend is bullish as of right now, but don't forget there's going to be a surge in volatility 15 minutes after the market opens when the Chicago PMI report comes out. So be ready for that. It could either change the direction of the market or it could just help the market pump more. I do expect a big surge in volatility. So watch these levels carefully. Basically, the bulls want to be watching this thing break 458. Then the next very important resistance is going to be closer to like 460 or like 459.5, which is the previous high right here. And if we get a rejection, you're going to be watching 457. Below that, 455. 456, sorry. Then we have 455 below that. Then 454. 456.5, and then 453.5, which I don't really think the market's going to drop that much. The odds favor the market possibly trying to push up in the morning, come back down maybe in the afternoon, then potentially push up again at the end of the day. Because remember, it is the last day of the month, and there's a good chance they may want to get us a very, very decent green day, a very, very nice close for the month of July. So the odds do favor the market holding up. For IWM, okay, we're gonna be watching this thing trying to push up to about, it's currently around 197, just below that. If that breaks, we're gonna be watching it get very close to about this 198 resistance. We have 198.5 above that. If we push up here, we may get a rejection, come right back down, then try to bounce after that. And I am anticipating some decent price action, this holding up just like SPY. For Tesla, we're at a very, very critical zone. So like I mentioned yesterday, for Tesla, we've been stuck between our 50 and 200 EMAs. Basically, the yellow line is our resistance. The red line has been our support. It doesn't get more simple than that. And now Tesla's testing the yellow line again, this 50 EMA. If we break above this, if we do get enough of a pump to break it, if news is positive, because so far in the pre-market, Tesla's trying to pump a bit. If we manage to break this 50 EMA, that's going to be a bullish confirmation for Tesla, get above like 268.5 and hold above it and continue pushing above it. Then we have the potential to go all the way up to 270, then potentially 274. 274 would more likely be the target. And if we break that, then we have this imbalance to fill around 280. You could even interpret this as a double bottom and a push up for like 280 after that. That's a possibility for Tesla. But just to be safe, make sure you watch the news for Tesla that comes out, because the news on Tesla is very important. It has been dictating this thing a lot. So far, news has been quite decent. We will find out if any other pieces of news come out like near open or after open. So be prepared for that. That's been affecting Tesla big time. And if we reject off the 50 EMA, what if we reject off this? Then you're going to be watching 265 as our next level. If 265 fails for Tesla, there's 262.5. And if that fails us, we're going to likely come down to fill the gap around 256. All right. So there are two main possibilities. What do I think is more likely? So far, it's trying to hold up, but we're going to be testing some resistance. I want to see if Tesla can break this. If we break it, that's going to be a bullish confirmation. If not, it is what it is. Looking at NEO, this thing is looking bullish once again, continuing to break to the upside. I did tell you that from a TA perspective, it should either like cool off a bit, then start pushing, or it might just keep going from here as we're continuing to get bullish news. Now we're testing, we're going to get very close to 16. We're not at 16 yet. We're very close to it as of right now. But the question is, could we break 16? It's been pumping very, very hard. I think it's going to be finding some resistance around the 16s. But don't forget, we're just days away from deliveries. That could pump this thing insanely hard. For Aapl, we're going to be watching resistance right here. It's currently at 196.5. Get above that, we're going to be watching 197.2 on Aapl. If it manages to break that, this resistance between 197 to 197.2, we have the potential to push all the way up to 197.5. Very, very tight ranges for Aapl, of course. And then we have 198 after that. If it breaks down, you're going to be watching support around 194.9. 193.78, and then 192.5 for this gap fill. If it breaks below the 20 EMA, okay, 195, if it fails to hold that, it could drop a little bit lower than 195, like 194.9, basically. If it breaks a little bit below this, it's going to likely fill this gap and come all the way down to about 193.5. But for now, I don't see that happening. It's just trying to hold up. So just be very careful with it. It looks like it's going to try to pump first in the morning. Then it's going to react to the Chicago PMI. Maybe it cools off intraday. Then it gets one more pump at the end of the day, just like SPY. Same thing for the triple Q. It's currently around 384.4 at the time I'm recording this. If we break above 385, that's going to be our resistance to watch for. If it breaks it and it remains very bullish, it has the potential to go all the way up to 387.98, which is basically like 388. Nice accumulation is forming. The odds do favor potentially testing that, but just to be safe, watch for that break of 385. We haven't actually broken it just yet. Now, I think it's going to test it, and I think it might make an attempt to break it in the morning. If it breaks it, then we could be watching 388, then a rejection off that, and then one more pump at the end of the day for a nice push-up. Looking at Nvda, this thing is currently around our 468 resistance, looking quite nice. If we break that, it could go all the way up to about 470, 474, 474 after that, and above 474 we have 478 and potentially 480 as our resistance levels. The nice inverse head and shoulder structure is playing out so far. It's either going to like cool off a little bit by the time we open, depending on the PMI reports, and then start pumping, to try to get to about 480, 478 to 480, or it might just go straight up there, right? That could also happen too on a day like this, as it's the last day in July. Overall, looks more bullish to me from a technical standpoint. And we will see what happens with AMD's earnings very soon. That's going to actually affect Nvidia too. For now, it looks quite good. But for support, don't forget to watch 463 and then 457 and etc. So watch those levels carefully. And besides that, I think I went over the majority of them. I think I want to cut this video short now. Let me just go over a few very, very fast. For Amazon, we're actually trying to break 133.75. If we break this, watch 135 on Amazon. We have this nice accumulation structure right here. 135 is going to be our critical level. And if we break that, there's 135.99. So basically very close to 136. We have some strong resistance. We have a supply zone up here. Amazon's going to try to get close to that, in my opinion, approaching its earnings. There's a good chance of that. But first, we have to get above 134. If we reject, we have support at 132.78. Then we have 130.8 below that. I think Amazon's going to make an attempt to break out, slow down intraday, come all the way back down to the 132s, then try to bounce after that and continue pushing up and try to make its way up to about 135. I think it's going to try to do that. I think it looks bullish from a technical standpoint. We're going to be watching this carefully. As far as Meta goes, it looks more bullish. We're forming a potential bullish structure. If we break to the upside, I mean, I could see it retesting 330 today. Looks more bullish. Maybe it cools off a little bit by the time we open because the pre-market's kind of weak. We could see it retest like 320 or so and then bounce. And then I do think it's going to retest like 330 very soon. So anyways, that's what I have for this video. Have a great day, everyone. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Get ready for some volatility for the Chicago PMI 15 minutes after the market opens, and watch your support and resistance levels very carefully and watch for those confirmations, right? What's an example of a confirmation? If Tesla could break like the 50 EMA, for example, watch things like this on every single chart, your EMAs, your resistance levels, your supply zones. Watch all of those carefully and get ready for the day. Okay? Don't expect anything to happen just because you want it to happen. Let the charts tell you. All right? That's the best thing I could tell you. All right? Non financial advice. Have a great day, everyone. Tesla, the market is the moon, and peace out.